Everyone, welcome to the 10th weekly meeting of
Right.
the OMI uh, of the OMI group. So on the agenda today we have two items, and we'll see what else we can add on afterwards. We've got the OMI Open Collective fundraising. Um, so we have a Open Collective group now. Um, we have our fiscal sponsor approved with I believe it's the Open Source Collective, and we'll go over what we want to do with that next. And then we have the OMI website. So we've got the website up, omigroup.org, but it's still the default Docusaurus page. So we'll go into that a little bit as well. And then with the remaining time, we can go into proposals and things like that. We've got a lot of open proposals, so that's probably a good use of time after that. But I think we have a couple new people, so I want to give some time for new people. If you're new here, just give us your name or what you'd like us to call you, and a little bit of background about yourself. About Lance.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. I'm new to this meeting. I'm one of the co-founders of Virgil's. Been working out of Hubs Cloud, Mozilla Hubs Cloud for a little while. Really excited to be here. Excited about what you guys are doing. Yeah, good to be here.
Awesome. Welcome. Um, A. Ortiz or Sergio?
Hi, this is Antonio. This is today's my first day, and after a career of working in advertising, marketing, particularly in the arts and public service, and always being interested in technology, I'm sort of migrating, evolving my career, and I'm interested in all the subject matters you guys are discussing. So that's why I'm here.
Welcome. Sergio?
Um, Sergio, and I've been in the space for like a couple of months and just here to learn more, like 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 virtual reality or like
I think your mic's breaking up a little
something like
bit. Um, if you want to post in the Oh My General, we'd love to get an introduction and hear a little bit about your background and all that.
okay.
MZ, I see you just joined. If you're new here, we're giving introductions for new people. If you want to tell us your name and a little bit about your background and why you're here.
Hi everyone, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm MZ. I'm a lecturer at University of Central Lancashire here in the UK, Preston, UK, and my background is in computer science, software engineering. But right now, as a lecturer researcher, I have interests in HCI, augmented reality, virtual reality, extended reality in general, and I'm really interested in the metaverse and the open metaverse system. And I'm just here to sort of see how I can contribute to this movement.
Welcome, MZ. It's great to have more folks from the UK here. Thanks for joining us, and I'm very curious how you heard about us. If any of you else of you want to introduce yourselves, and anyone wants to share how you heard about OMI, that'd be great. I think we have most everyone introduced. By the way, I'm Evo, for those of you I haven't met. Hi. I'm one of the 3 co-chairs here with Robert and Jesse for the W3C side of this community group. Obviously, our community group is bigger than just W3C. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the structure and the functionality of this community in a little bit. Was there anyone else who didn't get to introduce themselves?
Sorry, I said a few things. I didn't realize I was muted. So I heard about the group through Jesse. I had a long, interesting conversation with him a few weeks ago about WebXR and the metaverse, and that's how I found out about this group.
I'm really excited to see that. Great to see you here.
Yeah, thanks. Good to see you too, Jesse.
Awesome. Well, welcome everyone, and we're gonna talk a little bit about the next steps for the organization. So Evo, Mauve, and I worked on this Open Collective application just the other day, and this is gonna help us move to become like an actual nonprofit and be able to accept money and give out grants and things like that.
Yes.
Yeah, Evo,
We
you
can
want to talk about
accept money as of today, right here, right now.
Sweet. Oh, and we do have a custom contribution. Cool. Yeah, we'll have to set all this up. But Evo, do you want to give a little bit more details about what we're planning on doing with this, or get the conversation started on that?
Sure. So we went with Open Collective in part because they support so many OS communities. This is a transparent fundraising space for us to then go out and reach out for, let's say, bounties and incentives and prizes for code experiments. We can fundraise here for programs and projects related to OMI work. So if you have folks who want to potentially benefit the work in some way, you can drive them to this page. You'll see here that we have contribute, budget, connect, and about. We can then create a budget for ourselves that includes the activities we want to do, whether that's community activities, hackathons and events, code bounties, and different types of incentive programs, grants as well. So we are starting this sort of fiscal development process, right? And our next step will be to identify the partners and individuals, both organizations, family offices, and people that we think can help us grow, who can help, whether it's cover the cost of an event or partner with us to do something. So this is that first step, and this gives a place for people to connect, to stay in touch. It's almost like a nonprofit's Patreon in a way, but it's all transparent. And so that gives us a common space where we can all have the conversation about fundraising and also have the conversation about accounting. So this is a transparent space for the entire fiscal flow of our organization. I'd love if you have any questions. I'm not necessarily the best person to answer them, but I will do my best. Mauve was awesome at helping us just get through this process quickly and had been through it before. But we will absolutely get any questions you have asked answered, right? So if you have any particular questions about how this works or how we can use it, I'd love to hear them. One other thing you're going to notice on the right side of this page, you're going to see submit expense. This is something that as we build a budget and build programs, we are going to be able to, for example, host an event, expense it to the organization, and then have that flow. So this is going to give us a relatively decentralized way of organizing community experiences. And as long as we're in agreement on the budget, which will happen in this conversation, in the weekly meeting, then we can go out and do a pretty wide variety of programmatic options from here. Does that make sense?
The last question you were asking about what sort of things, well, we're already starting on a bunch of projects like the content and identity stuff, there's also a lot more, and maybe somehow we can use the funding to accelerate that.
Absolutely. And we want to create a process of bringing those requests and ideas to this weekly meeting so that we can have the conversation about, okay, yes, let's put $1,000 toward this program, this project, this grant. This weekly meeting is going to be the best chance we have to get everyone together in an agreement on those things. So anytime you have a idea that is going to need budget, we're going to need to bring those to this weekly meeting so we can have a conversation about it. And then if you're approved for that budget and we have it in the bank, we can go ahead and do those expense reports and the whole process here.
Sounds great.
So that's Operations 101, y'all. Thanks for helping us get through this process in a few weeks.
Awesome. So that brings us to our next topic. So the website. So this is already up, omigroup.org. You can get to the GitHub in the upper right corner, but it's just in our GitHub organization. It's the website repository. And yeah, if you want to create a change to this, you can basically just find one of the pages. So the blogs are in this blog folder. We'll get those sorted out. They're just like default content right now. Docs, so we'll have docs pages here, and you can just go in here and hit like the edit button, make a change, and then hit commit. For you, it'll probably be like create a new branch, which will be created as a pull request. Matt already created a pull request, and in order to update the website, all we have to do is like basically merge the PR into the repository, and it automatically publishes it. We're using this thing, GitHub Actions, which kind of goes and publishes everything for us. So super easy. Anyone can contribute. You don't need to know anything other than like basic Markdown in order to contribute. Yeah, so we can go into what we actually want to do with this next. Eva, did you have something?
No, I'm just excited to get this going. This looks great.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this. I think this is like our next big piece of our outreach, which is really going to help accelerate, get people involved in OMI and let people know really what we're all about. So that's kind of the next step is we need to have a brainstorming session just to kind of lay out what do we want on the landing page, what are other pages that we need to have, what are the first documents that we want on here, and kind of come up with maybe a first blog post as well. I am free tomorrow. I start a new job on July 15th, so it's coming up pretty fast. So I'm gonna have a lot of time until then, and maybe a little bit less as soon as that happens. But I really want to take advantage of that myself and try and contribute as much as I can to this website before then. So if people are around tomorrow at any point, I'd love to have that brainstorming session then. You can just do it here in Discord.
If we could do that before 11 a.m., I can participate.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, if you're interested, go ahead and you can message me in Discord, post in the channel. I think I might have my my Discord DMs.
Good to see you.
But yeah, just post in the channel and I'll make sure I get the word out to all of you. I'll post the time as soon as we have like a little bit of a consensus on it. One of the things that we're going to need pretty early on is some design resources. Like as soon as we have the content that we want to put on here, we're going to need to lay out the landing page. The documentation pages are pretty straightforward. Like it's just markdown. So we can add some image assets and things like that. I'm already thinking of doing an article on VRM and gltf, so we can start linking to resources for the Blender exporter and for VRM, the UniVRM tools, and I don't know, like we can start showcasing other people's projects in the community. So all of the different metaverse platforms for gltf and VRM resources, we can, have links to like Sketchfab and Ready Player Me and a bunch of other things like that. So, um, yeah, it should just hopefully be like a really good resource for people who are coming into the space, maybe new, maybe really experienced, and just like want to get a better view of the whole ecosystem, or are looking for specific like reference documentation on something that they're going to use every week. And ideally, we can provide a lot of that value. My analogy has been we can basically create the MDN for web developers. That's the Mozilla Developer Network, and it's like a resource for designing websites and other things on the web. Um, and I use that daily, and it would be really cool if we were able to create resources for those sorts of things in a very community-driven way that people use all the time.
So Tim was saying that it would be helpful to a lot of people if we could create like a resource for debugging, like say the characters breaking, like basically when people create their like avatar, that this is like one type of content that could be used. It could be created tutorials for, and also another thing is that we mentioned that we want to create a directory for the associated projects, and I don't remember that being mentioned. That's all.
Yeah, that's great. Any other comments on this? Things people are interested in seeing? Different, like what sort of like content are you looking for? Like a lot of us are using gltf or 3js or Unity or all sorts of different things. Like what what sort of like documentation out there doesn't exist yet or is scattered amongst blog posts and we need to
The
like collect?
scattered is interesting here, right? So the scatter of Twitter in terms of short interoperability videos of like 1 minute experiments of people trying to make portals or other interop experiments. I feel like Twitter actually has a lot of evidence, but it's all over the map, right? And it's not collected well. So that might be a thing that we can put together, like, the top 20 short videos of different people's interoperability experiments. And I know some of you have like lists of these kinds of resources as well. I'm thinking of, I think one or two of you have different lists, right? Jesse, you have one?
I like the split of like making the like short form Twitter content just as important as the long blog posts that people really dig into.
Yeah, I agree. And for the blog content, it's kind of like taking a snapshot of where we're at right now, which is really good if we want to get out like brand new developments in the metaverse community. It'd be I would like to talk to Trevor Flowers. Like we need to get like uh, he's been doing the metaverse or the what is it, the WebXR Weekly newsletter, and that's been really great.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, we actually have a few newsletter writers that are members of our community. So maybe we can chat with them. They're usually really nice about doing like shout outs or announcements.
yeah, it'd be really cool to feature them on there as well. Speaking of which, this is the list that I was looking for. So we have like in our discussions, we've been kind of curating a list of all sorts of different prior metaverse specifications and works So we can definitely get this formatted in a better way and get it up on the website. Because this is like a pretty good list of all of these pieces of technology that we can use for our own specifications, or it's just like a bunch of pieces of technology that have tried to accomplish similar goals in the past and we can learn from. So a lot of people don't know about a lot of these, so it'll be really cool to get that out there.
And this clips right into that storytelling conversation we were having and how to begin telling this story in video and on social networks. So if anyone does want to try and collab on the video side of this list, basically taking all of these pieces and helping tell that story in a different way, I think it would be valuable.
Absolutely. Yeah, if anyone has video skills, that'd be great.
I just don't want to get stuck editing it by myself because I'm stuck at editing.
I'm getting a little bit better.
I'm
So
be a
maybe
part of a process. Don't want to run a show. Yeah. But thank you for your insights. And absolutely, if you see stuff on Twitter we should be seeing, just tag open_metaverse on Twitter so that we can see those. And then in some cases, we'll boost them and retweet them, especially if they're from community members here doing interesting things.
Yep. Anything else before we go into specifications and stuff?
Yeah, you have one more thing I caught was looks like we need 100 stars on our OMI GitHub repo. Did you want to talk a little bit about that?
We did. It was either 100 stars or we just needed to go through the manual process of getting our open collective. So it's not a hard obligation, but if you want to give us a star,
Got it.
please do.
Okay.
It helps us a little bit, like just in the broader GitHub ecosystem. It's easier to find our stuff. But yeah, not a hard requirement anymore.
Great.
Also, Jesse, are you taking notes as well? Oh, this is
I am taking very detailed notes. It's my
Oh,
goal to
well, I
take good
posted a
notes today.
second one. So,
No, I'm using
anyways.
yours.
Oh, you're using mine?
I'm just going to
Okay.
take out the link on GitHub.
Okay. Okay. All right. So if anyone wants to help write notes, it's in our meeting chat. Cool. Which by the way, if people don't know, on our main GitHub repository, there is all of the past meetings here. I've tried to keep up recordings. You can just go on YouTube and they're all here. Trying to keep that up to date as much as possible. We missed a couple meetings, but yeah, we've been trying to take notes and record everything. And yeah, it's all right there. If you want to go back and listen to the hours of content that we have now, it's maybe, I don't know, it's a lot, but yeah, it's all there. Cool. That brings us to the next bit.
One more shout out real quick. Thanks everyone who came out to the happy hour on Friday. That was a blast. It was my first time playing Gorilla Tag, but definitely glad that we did that too. So thanks for coming, and we'll try to make the next one at completely different time zone friendly time.
Yeah, so UK folks, if you want to have happy hour in your time zone, we are down to breakfast with you over dinner. So let us know. And it turns out Among Us games are really great at interoperability play. So it was interesting to hear people reflect on the gameplay. One of our colleagues, it was his first time coming to one of our meetings, and he came back to me and was like, "This is so interesting. I can't wait to come back to more of your meetings because of the happy hour." So I want to encourage us to keep doing social community non-meeting times whenever we can. And yeah, you're absolutely welcome to just come and hang out at my theme park in Roblox, or we can just go and jump around to different platforms from one week to the next.
Definitely. Yeah, it was a great time. Which leads us to maybe the first one that we should focus on, which is our meeting space. So talked about this a bit in the past, but we're trying to build a virtual meeting space that is portable and we can use in multiple VR spaces. And I've seen a little bit of work that Matt's been doing lately. Let's see, can I share my Discord without showing absolutely everything? It's a little tough. Let's see, I can just open this in my browser. So Matt's got a basic hub space already started with all of our core values up here in this really cool version of our logo, which is awesome. And if anyone wants to help out, we're doing all that work in the design requests channel right now. Yeah, definitely keep collaborating on that. Like, this is going to be really cool as soon as we have like a virtual space that we can start putting into all these different platforms. And thanks, Matt, again for this. This is great work.
Yeah, no problem. Please, any of you Blender people, it'd be great to have your help on that.
Matt, if you kept the original like sources for like the display of the logos, I'm not the logos, the words, please keep them.
Oh yeah, I have the textures. Everything I'm gonna upload into a GitHub repository so that we can just grab whatever we would like to use or edit. So yeah.
Yeah, like if you want to make it like twice as detailed, that could be done in the future.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, we can put everything in a single GitHub repository, so that's all good to go in the future. Um, do we want to plan like a time to like collaborate on all this sort of stuff? Like we have I think multiple artists in the community, like we can get people together and just kind of jam on it for a little bit.
I'd love that.
Remember that there's two time zones. There's the one in the morning where it's possible to meet with the Europeans and the Americans, well, the North Americans, and there's also the one where you get to meet with the Asian people.
Yeah, our Wednesday and Friday time slots is what you're talking about, right? So
Yep.
I think our Friday time slot is still a little difficult for certain people, but yeah, yeah, we have like a Friday at noon Pacific, I believe. So we can definitely do that.
Right. Doesn't work for Europe, but could possibly work for Asia.
Yeah.
And also, we can absolutely organize smaller, like mini groups in between here and there. Like if you have a few folks that you want to collaborate with. I'm not great in Blender, but I'm a capable 2D artist. I'm just not a great 3D artist. So I can certainly help on, modifying logos and doing anything in the graphic design space that's 2D. I know that I'm not the best Blender artist in this group. So if anyone else does have the sort of 3D skills to work on those assets, it would be great to see you in there.
Also, if you are able to be in 2D, remember that you can always take a vector image and make it a floor plan. Like blueprint a top-down style floor plans.
Gotcha, yeah. So like
That's
concepts
brilliant.
and stuff. Anyone else have more to add on the virtual space?
I'm going to go take a look at OmniCommons and NoiseBridge and some of the other spaces this week. If y'all want to just chime in the Discord as far as what types of spaces you think are best suited to our group.
Also, Christian and Lance, like I visited Virgil's for the first time, and your spaces are really really well polished, and I think like people could gain a lot of experience, a lot of insight for designing hub spaces from you all as well. That was really really cool.
Yeah, thanks, Robert.
Yeah, if
We've
you want to
definitely,
drop a link to that, that'd be really great.
yeah, we'll do.
Cool. Anyone else? Otherwise, we'll move on. Okay, so I think let's go back to the URI discussion because I think the identity one is still kind of like a rabbit hole right now. We haven't had a whole lot of progress on that one yet. So, and also we need to get this a little bit more updated. So this is one of the specs that we've been working on. It's kind of migrated from virtual world URIs to virtual world metadata. We have a channel dedicated to it in our Discord right now. But we've been looking at using a protocol called WebFinger, which is like a URL and response format for gaining associated links for a given URL or a given identifier, like an email address or whatever else. And so how we've been thinking about using this is if you have a URI for any virtual world that meets this spec, you should be able to get metadata about that world in a common format. The main use case that we're seeing for this so far is to have portal thumbnails. So 360 images in an ecorrect format is kind of the minimum spec I think that we've come up with so far. And then you can use that to render portals in your virtual world in any way you see fit. So you can render it as just like a cube map sphere, or you can have a cool projection into like a portal asset, all sorts of different things. And so, yeah, you just use the URI to do a normal like scene traversal in, well, like a domain traversal just by clicking it and like redirecting a web page or deep linking into another app. But now you have the metadata that you need to say more about like where you're going next. So that's been the basic conversation so far. I think what we're looking for next is we need to get all of that information into one place, write a concrete proposal, which needs to be submitted as a GitHub issue. I can definitely help write that up. And then we need multiple implementers of this spec. So we have a lot of different people representing different metaverse platforms out there. If you're interested in your spaces having this metadata, which allows other people to render your links in like it's like adding like a open graph or like other meta tags to your page. Like it's gonna help you uh, be discovered in a richer format. Like you can, for people who don't know, like if I copy and paste this link into our Discord, it'll show up with like a nice thumbnail and a nice description, things like that. So we're trying to do the same thing for virtual spaces, I guess, with this.
So the next steps I see is that we want to properly follow a template for filling in the design, and then people can start using that design to implement a prototype, or at least are two required two prototypes. I remember that we were blocked about not really wanting to pick a specific thing until we've discussed all the possibilities.
Right, yeah. We still haven't fully decided on WebFinger, but we also, I don't think we've got like a concrete second proposal for another piece of tech. Like we've had like discussions about just embedding JSON in different places, but we've had discussion around uh, how you access that in different contexts. So if we want to support both native apps and web pages, um, we need a common way to get URI metadata, and so an HTTP request via WebFinger covers that pretty well. We'd need another spec in order to do that. Personally, I don't think we should invent another one. I think we should reuse something. But yeah, if there's an alternative to WebFinger, we can definitely consider that as well. Is there anyone here that's like interested in implementing this? I'm definitely going to be pitching this to a couple different platform owners pretty soon. But is there anyone here who's interested in putting this into their own applications? Or are you interested in learning more? Because we can talk more about it in a one-on-one in more detail as well.
I think we're prioritizing portable content like Worlds rather than this, but I think there's a lot of other people in the group.
Yeah, I think there's some other people who aren't on this call today, but yeah. Cool. Any other questions on this?
I guess for a clarifying question for the notes especially is, you know, we're not set in stone about any one idea, kind of to echo what you just said, Robert. But to make sure that we're clarifying, when we're asking folks to adopt it, we're asking them to help like adopt it for the sake of science, right? For the sake of experimenting, and nothing is set in stone, right? Like is that
I think
the narrative, like
we're trying to
the
gauge
reality?
interest, I think is the main thing. So we've had like Nova, Tim, and I, and some folks from the Activity Pub and Social
Yep.
Web Working Group kind of collaborated on this idea, and it's kind of our minimal viable specification that we could come up with for a metaverse feature that we think everyone would probably want to use. If you're doing linking and you want to make your links look good, you're probably going to want this.
Right.
So that's kind of where we're looking at this.
I
And
actually
yeah,
just had a brainstorm about like a moment. Imagine what if we can pick like Discord and say one of the platforms like Roberts does affiliate of Hubs, and maybe that could be enough to show a prototype, because I'm not sure about the details of interoperating with like say Discord, but it is in a sense a metaverse.
yeah. So for Discord, without a bot, you're really gonna have to make use of meta tags in a web page, or yeah, I mean that's pretty much it.
I've
Like
seen people do like a graph, sorry, like a dialogue showing the people in the server, and maybe that's the bare minimum, right? Like being able to show a world in say hubs, and people being able to show the rooms in Discord.
yeah, oh, it's not gonna let me just navigate to that. Okay, well, I think we should look into that a little bit more because I agree. Like that would be really cool to show richer previews of virtual worlds in Discord or in Slack or other things like that. So if there's more embed metadata that we can provide, then that can go into the spec as well. That's a really good idea.
I'm looking for something that's maybe useful, and maybe something like summoning people to join your metaverse via Discord would be like that kind of feature, and we could use Whitefinger for that. That's it.
Yep. Cool.
We have a question in the chat. I'm not really understanding what the spec is exactly. Is the spec more about the technical frameworks or the UX design, or is it something else? Seems more on the technical side by this conversation. Okay.
It is more technical, but basically like you know how well if you look in the OMI meeting chat, there's a link posted by Curious V. It has that little thumbnail attached to it. That was generated from some metadata inside of that web page. So the thumbnail there comes from a meta tag, the title comes from the title of the web page, and the description comes from another meta tag. And so what we're trying to do is, given that link, we want you to be able to render 3D thumbnails for rendering portals, basically. Because like 2D thumbnails, that's great. We would like to be able to like show that as like a fallback use case, but it'd be really cool to be able to render like actual portals and like get a little bit more context to the space that you're about to traverse to. So yeah. Cool. Next, this is something that we don't really have a proposal for yet. I don't think we even have a GitHub discussion for yet, but iFire and I have been talking about gltf content portability. So for those of you building on top of hubs, or if you've used hubs or Spoke, there's a lot of additional gltf extensions that that platform uses. I can show a little bit about what I'm talking about. So if you create a new project, we'll just do Atrium in Spoke. There's all these different elements down here, and all of the output of Spoke, or the scenes inside of hubs, use gltf as the scene format, as I'm sure a lot of your other platforms do. And that's kind of the
Is gltf in this case being saved as a single gltf file for the whole scene, no matter how complicated it is?
It can. So you can export as a binary gltf. In hubs, there's like linked assets too. So if we look at,
Yeah, that's what I'm interested in.
We're also interested in how you have on the right side more than one GLB in the list, but that means that it must. I think it has to be saved like in a archive with a bunch of GLBs in it somehow.
So it's basically, so how Spoke works is basically you compose a bunch of gltfs into a single gltf, and there's a deduplication step. So if you use multiple objects, multiple of the same objects, then the materials get combined into just like a single material, or deduplicated and stuff like that.
So the Spoke project, is this like is the Spoke project like stored as a JSON file, or like
Yes.
what Spoke using?
So the Spoke project is, let's see if I can do this. It's just like a .spoke file. It's like a JSON file, and it stores all of the assets as references, so URLs to different items.
Right. So this is like the source assets you would have in a project, and then the export step is where it like merges everything into one GLB.
Correct. And there's no reason why it has to be just a single GLB. It could be stored as a gltf and all the relative URLs to different assets. In Hub's case, it like stores everything as absolute URLs to external assets, but it saves it out as a GLB. So it's like most of the scene is captured in that GLB, but there's lots of things that aren't. So if I like went and exported this as a GLB.
Does this mean that there's an equivalent to PDF and PDF archive?
Kinda. I don't know. Is that? I don't know enough about that.
PDF archive removes every feature that makes it unable to be like archived for like future generations.
Interesting. Kinda. So that one GLB file I dragged into here, and you'll get some of the behavior in here, but the lighting's not the same. Like there's lots of different behaviors in here that don't work. You're also seeing a flickering because that's like the floor plan in this thing.
We also discussed
Really
how GLTF has a light map extension and how it's being phased in some of the other certifications like 3DC, 3D Commerce by GLTF.
Right, yeah. So all of these sorts of extensions that we've kind of come up with for hubs are like things that I'd personally like to see standardized. I don't think we have to get all of them out there. Like some of them are very hub specific, like object spawners and things like that. But there's a lot of really cool stuff in here that would be great to start standardizing, like external images or external videos. The way that we like render those should probably have some client specific stuff. So like for videos, like video controls, like in hubs, there's a specific set of controls, and in I don't know, like any other platform, there's Webverse, there's a different set of controls, and you can like enable or disable that. All these properties here are pretty similar with like properties that you would find in
the video tag.
yeah, the video tag in HTML. A lot of these are analogous to that because it just makes the spec that much easier because behind the scenes, it's just using a video tag. So it makes it easier to implement. It makes it easier to specify and all that.
And I assume this is part of the hub's backend that's like in Elixir language and part of the backend system for the editor, right?
No, actually, almost
why would
all of hubs is implemented in the client side. So a
Okay,
lot of
cool.
this sort of stuff is really portable, and there's not too much on top of 3JS that you actually have to build in order to make this work on the web. In native clients, obviously, that'll differ a little bit, but a lot of these same properties are still available in Unity as well, for example.
I was just wondering, maybe it was possible for native clients to also have a web view of their content, and it sounds like a super difficult feature, but it's out there.
Mm-hmm. So, anyways, the proposal that I'd like to do is to create a new repository for these sorts of GLTF extensions that make GLTF scenes into richer metaverse environments. Um, we could make that a little bit broader and say just like richer metaverse assets in general. Like you could use these same components inside of avatar files, for example, which is totally possible in hubs. Like you could have an avatar with a video on its face, which is totally possible. Things like that. But basically, like we need to go and create JSON schema and like a reference couple loaders in order for the extension to be accepted into the actual GLTF repository, but we can kind of do that like investigative work here before we go and like submit it as an actual GLTF extension.
And I assume that it won't be under Mozilla namespace, but under OMI namespace. That would create another namespace.
I think it's dependent on the author of the specification. Like we can provide a home for like the sandboxing, the sandbox for all these different extensions. But like if it's specific for one vendor, then we'll use the same pattern as GLTF. So GLTF, you'll see all these different extensions here. KHR means it was accepted by Kronos. It's ratified. It has to go through like a whole process to get the KHR extension. EXT is multi-vendor, so multiple vendors have accepted this. It has a similar ratification process. And then you have vendor extensions, which don't really need a ratification process, but like people submit just to get feedback, things like that. So Microsoft has one, Facebook, Cesium, AGI, Adobe. We registered one for Mozilla, MOZ, and so all of the hubs components are that I showed in Spoke are under a single extension. So likely
Is it
we'd want to split those up into
is
separate
it too
ones
late to
and take another look
sorry?
at them to make sure that
Is
they
it
are standardizable.
is it too late to start asking for OMI namespace?
No, we can get it in just a second. Like if we
Yeah.
wanted it, you just submit an issue here. I had one for Moz a long time ago. I don't know. It's somewhere in here. But yeah, we can get it pretty quickly.
Yeah, you mentioned there are some changes with the Kronos working group. So I was wondering if it was worth getting it quicker done.
Oh yeah, it should be pretty easy to get the vendor extension. I don't know what my standing is with the group anymore. I have to kind of ask about that, and when I start my new job, we'll figure that more. But yeah, I believe it costs money to be a member of Kronos, and in order to participate in the 3D formats working group, you have to be a member of Kronos. So, but that doesn't prevent us from participating through GitHub and things like that. It just means that we can't directly participate in the spec meetings and things like that. So, unless you're a Kronos member. But yeah,
And
not
maybe
required.
one of the things that we could do is get OMI as a Kronos member, but that's something we have to talk about.
Yeah, it's possible, I think, but I think it's more likely that OMI member organizations can become Kronos members. I think it's really about the legal framework. So if you're working for another company, uh, those lines get pretty blurry pretty fast. So they just want like a clear definition of like who's participating in these spec conversations for IP uh, agreements, and just because they need to collect money for Kronos membership and things like that. So
Makes sense. It's starting to. I mean, we're starting to run out of time, so
yep,
wanted to leave some space open for other people to discuss.
I see. Mav,
Oh,
you've
hey
asked.
everyone.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I'm new here. I'm Drew Stone. I run a VR events production company called Lucosium. I am really interested in helping like this OMI group. I am less technical, however, but I really love culture design, and bringing people together in these ways. So I'm kind of just following along and catching up with the group. But I just wanted to drop in and say hi.
Thank you, Drew. And Drew, we are definitely going to need the community and storytelling side of those skills as we figure out how to tell this story, and whether that's, making a short video of those implementations or figuring out how to make that available to people on various forms of social networks and things. So thanks for being here. And we definitely want to figure out how to encapsulate this work for the non-technical as well as the technical folks.
Awesome. Yeah. No, I love storytelling. I have some video editing skills, so I'd be happy to help support your workflow there.
Woohoo! Thank you.
As part of making portable content, it would be cool to also have a stage. I don't know what that looks like, Stone, but that's something that I'm requesting, I guess.
I am happy to work with you. I also do virtual events, Drew, so we can talk about stages in different platforms and what those kinds of, again, maybe portals between those things eventually could look like. And telling the story of making those portals work might be one of our stories.
Interested. Yeah. Let's I'll continue the conversation.
Awesome. Well, we're about at time. I'm gonna get this proposal written up by next meeting. And if you posted about the helping out with the website, I'll get in contact with you. If anyone else is interested, just post in the meeting chat, and I'll reach out to you and get a time out there. Yeah, super excited to see what we accomplish next, and yeah, Keep it up.
And keep dropping those ideas in the Discord. So if you have either projects that you think we should be looking at, or examples, or that you have a great idea for how to tell this story, just dump them in the Discord. If you don't see the right channel for it, reach out to me or Jesse or Robert, and then we'll go ahead and make sure that we find the right place for that conversation. Thank you. Thanks for helping make things happen, especially with our Hangout office. I can't wait to see us shooting some video inside our office of these kinds of projects together.
Great. Thanks everyone so much for coming, and we will see you this time next week.
Thanks for reaching out, y'all. And definitely enjoy it, and have your friends like us on GitHub, get involved in any way that you see fit. Reach out if you need anything at all, if you have any questions.